Good evening. I'm KHU Meteorologist Chris Ramirez, and we are going to extend that weather impact alert until 9 p.m. These storms that are moving through Houston is now causing some street flooding across the city as these storms are really just not moving all that fast. So now until 9 p.m. today, we are going to continue to track the potential for flooding as these storms are continuing to move through Houston proper. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. There's a flood advisory in place for the city of Houston until 9:45 in the evening. We are expecting areas along 45. Really just this is affecting all of our major highways and freeways across the city of Houston. And we are going to start seeing the potential for some flooding. The flooding risk is high, and we've already received reports of some high water in some locations across town. So it's just really not a good idea to be out and about across the city right now as these storms are continuing to dump some heavy rainfall across town and portions of Harris County. And so as we look at the situation in terms of what we're looking at in terms of how much rain we've received, just keep in mind that it only takes between 2 and 3 inches of rainfall to start causing that ponding on roadways and road flooding. And so as we look at the 6-hour rain accumulations, we've seen quite a bit of rain across portions of Houston. And so just keep in mind that we are going to continue to track this heavy rainfall. And I'm going to go ahead and peg some areas across town to show you what we're looking at. We're looking at close to 3.5 inches of radar estimated rainfall for portions of northeast Houston. That is portions along, I believe that is the Hardy, that's 69, and that is definitely causing some problematic conditions across the city of Houston. We are expecting this to linger at least maybe the next hour or so. It's looking likely that these storms are remaining rather stationary and not really moving all that fast, which is the reason why that flooding risk is increasing. So just keep that in mind, that it's just not a good idea to be out on the roadways because it's very easy to find those flooded roadways as of now, as we are slowly starting to approach the evening and nighttime hours. And so as we look at the loop, this is looking at the past 2 hours. We've seen rain rates between 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour. So if this continues, this is going to continue to cause some flooding on our area roadways. And as we look at the situation in terms of where these storms are headed, they're slowly moving off towards the west, but we have another area of some heavy rainfall that is moving in from the southeast of downtown Houston that still has to move across town. And so this is this burst of lightning that we're seeing that's along 225 over Deer Park. That's really an indication that this is sort of strengthening and sort of maintaining the strength as it's continuing across the city of Houston. So road flooding definitely increasing for us as we progress through the next maybe hour or so. So it's really a good idea just to kind of avoid any roadway across town, as we have received reports of some high water spots on some of our area roadways. We've also saw reports of some possible power outages. I believe it was close to 13,000 folks without power here across southeast Texas. And so that's why we've expanded that weather impact alert to last at least until 9 p.m. today, and the impact is going to be street flooding and low visibility if you are caught in these downpours. We're also dealing with some very heavy rain as well as dangerous lightning with these storms, and as we look at the situation right now, the National Weather Service has continuing to issue that flood advisory that encompasses the city of Houston until 9:45. It's looking likely that areas south of downtown are going to be looking at some more heavy rainfall within the next 30 minutes to an hour. So hopefully this is your warning that we could be looking at flooding within the next 30 minutes to an hour for a lot of our roadways across town. So I know that we are sort of sensitive to the flooding situation of what transpired on July 4th across central Texas. And so just kind of keep in mind that that's not what we're going to see right now, but we are looking at signs of this heavy rainfall just not moving fast enough to allow water to drain off on our area streets. So this is just hopefully you're tuning in and you're able to just stay at home and not be on the roadways, because if this continues, and I believe that this is likely to continue within the next hour or so, this is really going to cause some problems along our area roadways within the next hour. And so that's why National Weather Service issuing those flood advisories. I would just go ahead and treat those flood advisories as if there is a potential for some flooding, because of course us in the giant city of Houston in terms of all the roadways and the concrete. It doesn't take much to cause flooded roadways across town, especially as we deal with these slow moving storms that are expected to linger. So rainfall likely not ending anytime soon because we have a large area, a large batch of rain that's to the southeast of Houston that is slowly starting to move inland. I know in some locations we've had some brief breaks in the rainfall, but it's looking more likely that once this batch of rainfall moves over the center of town, that we could be looking at those roads becoming flooded in some of those low-lying areas. So definitely keep that in mind and consider this definitely a heads up that our roadways are going to start becoming hazardous as we progress through the evening. If you have those dinner plans, I would just kind of stay indoors because it's looking likely that we could find ourselves in a messy situation as we progress through the next hour or so. I'm going to go ahead and show you Futurecast, and we are expecting these to at least linger through 9 o'clock. I don't think our short-term weather model that we're using, I don't think it's really performing all that well in terms of how long these storms are lasting, but just keep in mind that we could still continue to see this at least for the next hour or so, and then eventually becoming isolated and less widespread between as we get closer towards 10 o'clock in the evening. So we are expecting this to continue. We do have another round of some heavy rain for tomorrow as this weather pattern is expected to remain unsettled, all thanks to this tropical disturbance that just really didn't form into anything. It doesn't have a chance of development, but it is causing widespread rainfall across the Texas coast and into portions of the northern Gulf Coast, into Louisiana and into Alabama and Mississippi. So keep that in mind that rainfall definitely, these storms not really moving all that fast, and that is really causing the increasing flooding concern as we head into the evening hours. But definitely we are expecting that flood advisory to remain in place through at least 9:45, I believe. That's 9:45 this evening. That includes the city of Channelview, Cloverleaf, Galena Park, as well as the city of Houston. We're looking at a little bit of a break right now for portions of North Houston, but it's the southeast portions of town that is now about to get some heavy rain and lots of lightning with it. We're not looking at any damaging wind speeds with these storms. It's just the heavy rain and dangerous lightning that is really going to be a concern and cause that concern for flooding risk for the next maybe hour or so, as these storms are just really not letting up as we head into the evening hours. So stormy situation across Houston. We are continuing to track the latest trend. It's likely that we could be looking at some problematic roadways at least within the next 30 minutes to an hour, as we have another round of a batch of heavy rain that is now approaching from the southeast of Houston. And that's why those flood advisories have been in place, because the areas that has already received rain is now approaching between 3 and 4 inches of accumulated rainfall within the past 6 hours. So looking at that rainfall and where the heaviest rain that has fallen so far, we're starting to see areas where you're starting to see those yellow colors on the map. That is just really areas that are approaching the 3.5 inch range, and that is really enough to cause ponding on roadways and flooding, especially in those low-lying areas across Harris County. Radar indicated close to 4 inches of rain out in northeast Houston. This is along the I-69 corridor, even downtown, and portions near portions of northeast of town. 3.3 inches of estimated rainfall, and areas out in the East End area, 3.5 inches of rain. So I know that we have some low-lying areas out on the east side of town, and so just keep in mind that you want to avoid those low crossings that sort of dip down into the road, because we could be looking at possible flooding in those conditions. And now as we approach the evening hours, we are going to see that sun officially set at around 8:23. But as I'm looking outside right now, skies are looking a little darker across town, all thanks to these storms that are just not letting up anytime soon. So looking live right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you our camera that is facing the Gulf Freeway. That is showing some heavy heavy rain. I believe about a minute ago we really couldn't see the skyline, which this camera usually does show the skyline. Hopefully it loads pretty soon, but we are expecting this to continue to cause wet roadways, and you're seeing that right now. That camera definitely soaked with rainfall, and you're able to see the reflection of that water on the roadways, as well as the traffic moving a little bit slower. But just keep in mind that as we progress through the evening, that we are not really expecting these storms to lighten up within the next hour. I think that we could be looking at some heavy rain within the hour, and that's when we could be looking at the possibility of flooding. And we have received reports of some high water spots that are in place for portions of our area roadways. I'm just going to go ahead and look at the latest updates from the Houston Transtar. They're reporting I-45 northbound at 610, the South Loop high water. So this is verified from the Houston Transtar and their cameras, but just keep in mind that as we look at the current situation, this is what's happening right now as I stop radar in place, and this is what's currently going on. We still have quite a bit of lightning. You're still seeing those lightning strikes currently out on the eastern and the Cloverleaf area. Even these storms are starting to extend into portions of northern Harris County, into the Spring area, even along 249 closer towards the Tomball area, the Glenlock Forest area. Cypress now looking at some heavy rain and some lightning with that, but we are tracking more of the heavier showers and the stronger storms that are now going through Houston proper. And so as I do that loop and showing you the radar loop, we are showing another batch of heavy rain that is about to move into the city of Houston, and this really could cause more of that flooding concern for our area roadways as we progress within the next hour or so. So keep that in mind, that you don't want to be caught out on those blocked roadways. Turn around, don't drown. It's not really worth going through those roadways if you are driving a low profile vehicle. So definitely don't risk it, as we could be looking at some high water spots in some locations. And we're still looking at a lot of lightning, and the lightning presence right now is just really indicating that these storms are not really weakening and not expected to weaken anytime soon. And so as we lose the daytime heating, it's looking more likely that these storms are just remaining stationary over Houston, and that is really going to cause some concern in terms of the possibility for flooding, which is the reason why we've extended that weather impact alert until 9 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and give you a broader look at what's happening across the Gulf Coast. We still are having this unsettled weather, all thanks to that disturbance, bringing showers and storms across portions of South Texas. Even Louisiana is still looking at some tropical showers, but it's looking likely that right now, as I speak, Houston's looking at the heavier downpours, as well as those flood advisories that are still in place from the National Weather Service. And so they're going to keep that in place until, now they've extended that until 10 o'clock today. So flood advisory in place until 10 p.m. That includes Deer Park, City of Houston, and Pasadena. That is something new that has just came out from the National Weather Service. That area south of downtown, which includes downtown as well, we could be looking at more of those heavy downpours across the area. So we hope that it's not bad enough to prompt any flash flood warnings, but it's something that we're going to have to really keep an eye on in terms of any flash flood warning if it is issued. I don't think that it's been that bad yet, but just keep in mind that if it does continue to fall, we could be looking at some possible flooding on some roadways across the city of Houston within the next maybe hour or so. And so we're just tracking the latest. This is expected to continue through at least the next hour, maybe 2 hours, until maybe 9 o'clock. And so hopefully that as we lose the daytime heating, we could see these storms start tapering off. But at the current moment, we're not really seeing that as of now. We still have rain chances in place for the weekend. So just keep in mind that Saturday, Sunday, likely to see more of those scattered showers and storms, highs in the lower 90s. And so this is all a part of that tropical disturbance that's just didn't become organized, but it's still sending a lot of moisture our way, which in turn is giving us the downpours and the scattered shower and storm activity at least through the next 48 hours or so. So to kind of sum this up, we are tracking the heavy downpours moving through the city of Houston, and we are going to continue looking at the potential for road flooding across town as rain has been falling at least for the past hour or so, and it's likely to not really lighten up, and we could see it become a bit heavier once this area that's currently southeast of Houston looking likely that this area is going to be moving over town, and that really could cause more problematic conditions, problematic roadways for inside the Beltway and portions of Houston. So I'm going to go ahead and we've seen close to radar indicated 3 to 4 inches of rain within the past 6 hours, and so our grounds are becoming saturated, and that's when we're going to start looking at the potential for some road flooding as you know, we're not getting these breaks of the heavy rainfall, and it's not really allowing time for that water to drain off, but we're continuing to track that as well. So hopefully you are staying indoors and not just really out this evening, because it's shaping up to be a very messy evening, and now we're looking at the potential for some of these roadways to become flooded going into the next maybe hour or so, especially as this rain does continue to fall. And we've already received reports of power outages as well as some high water spots on our area freeways. And so turn around, don't drown, be safe out there, and we will be back on air later on today at 10 p.m. And if not, you make sure to download the KHOU 11 app. We are sending notifications about the weather conditions, and we will definitely be on KHOU 11 Plus, giving you the latest updates on the weather situation this evening and as we track these rain chances. And so take it easy out there, slow down, turn around, don't drown, as well as just stay indoors, because these storms are just really not letting up anytime soon, as we are tracking another batch of heavy rain about to move into the city of Houston within the next maybe 20-25 minutes. Again, I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez with your weather update as we track these storms moving through town for the rest of our Friday evening. Be safe out there.